so that the lecture is available for you guys later on. And then I'm going to share my screen with you guys. We shall definitely start where just we left off. These were the transaction which we discussed that we will have some practice. So I actually gave you guys an assignment. Who did that assignment? I gave you some transaction to pass the entries, to pass debit credit entries.
Sir, where did you give an assignment?
Actually, I uploaded the assignment on the Google Classroom. So if you didn't access that, I actually gave you some transactions to record in a debit credit format. Sorry.
Sir, I'm Google Classroom.
Yeah, you have to access the Google Classroom because previous recordings are all also there, and there is an assignment as well. So you have to do that assignment. You were supposed to send those transactions to me in by the start of this week, by Monday, but I didn't receive that from anyone. So please, guys, go to Google Classroom and under the financial accounting, you will see under the heading of assignment, you will see that I have shared an assignment.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, guys, let's start. You might be able to see my screen. These are some transactions. What we will do, we will initially record these transactions. Yeah, these are the transactions. John started business with 500,000 in the bank, 800,000 building, and $300,000 machinery. You see, these are three transactions. These are three transactions. You can record these transactions separately, or you can record these transactions together as a compound entry. As I told you, you can also record it as a compound entry. Okay, let's move to the next page. Yeah, I will not enlarge the screen. You just see that this is the first transaction. John started business with $500,000 in the bank, $800,000 building, and $300,000 machinery. So I told you that consider yourself a business. Then you will see that there are some assets which are increased in the business. The name of those assets are bank, means 500,000 is increased in the bank. Let me see what is in the chat. Someone is, okay, nothing is there. So $500,000 has been received in the bank. Umar Pracha to everyone, sir, I'm taking from mobile as well as laptop, and password is required for laptop. Using mobile, but can't hear you voice. Yeah, you have to start audio through internet. Then you will be able to hear me. Sorry guys, I had to answer this person. Okay, so there are three types of asset which are increased in the business, and whenever asset increases, it's a debit entry. We will record it as a debit entry. So I will record debit bank, name of asset is bank, $500,000, name of asset is building, debit. I will also pass that entry as a debit entry because an asset has been increased. $800,000. And the third asset which is increased in the business is machinery. So I will write debit, the name of asset machinery, and the amount 300,000, and the reason is increase in asset. And as all these assets are initial investment by the owner, so I will pass a credit entry as a capital 1.6 million or $1,600,000 increase in capital, because whenever capital is increased, it's a credit entry. If you would have done that assignment, you might have felt very easy today, because I told you that initially debit, credit, or passing the transaction, recording the transaction is the key element. Once you are able to do this, this is what you need to understand the financial accounting. Just let me yeah, this is the transaction which we are talking about. We have to, next step is the posting of this transaction. Initially, we recorded this transaction. In the next step, we will post this transaction into the business, we will post this transaction into the accounts, relevant accounts. So how we are going to post these transactions into accounts? We have to create some accounts. Let me tell you how to create that account. Just hold on. I will continue to display this thing. This is the transaction. Please forget this purchase 80,000. This is an additional figure written. Forget it. You guys won't be looking my screen right now. Just hold for a moment. Yeah. Are you guys able to see my laptop screen now?
No, just we are seeing your screen, but
Sorry,
not the slide.
mobile screen. So can you see the word I have written, Naib?
No.
Okay, you didn't see that. Okay. Yeah, can you see that now?
Yes, yes, I can see that. Yeah, now I
Yeah.
can see.
Okay. Let me tell you how to post the transactions, how to post the transactions into account. The transaction which I'm talking about is actually that was debit cash or debit bank with an amount that was, I guess, $500,000. Then debit building, it was $800,000. And then debit machinery, it was $300,000. And the credit was capital $1,600,000. So this was our transaction. You can get a screenshot of this transaction, or you can write this transaction in front of you, so that I will erase this transaction from the current screen, and then I will move to the I will add another page into this. Okay, moving to the second page. What I will do, I will post this transaction. First, it's a debit bank 500,000. What I will do, I will create a T account of bank. So how an account is created? You just write this word bank, put a T under it. Now it's a T account. If I see the pages, so you see debit bank 500,000. The first transaction is debit bank 500,000. So I have opened an account of bank. As it's being debited, I will record $500,000 on debit side because it's a debit entry. You see debit bank 500,000. I will open a T account. I will record 500,000 on the debit side. I have to write a word with this 500,000, and what I will write is the credit entry of this debit. You know, if debit is bank, credit is capital. So I will write capital with this amount. CAP stands for capital. I might not be able to write it the whole amount, but it's capital. So capital $500,000. I have posted the first debit entry of the bank. Okay, moving to the next entry, which is debit building $800,000. Now, what I will do, I will make an account of building. Yeah, it's building. This is the T account of building. As building is being debited with $800,000, so I will write 800,000 on debit side. The credit of this is capital. So I will write the word capital with it. I think let me rub this machinery building account. We shall prepare this account in the next page because we will continue to have one account on one page so that you guys can understand it easily. Okay, we have two pages. We have prepared the bank account. Now the third account is bank account. We have prepared a bank account. Second account is of building. So debit building 800,000. What I will do, I will open an account of building. This is building account. Debit, you see, it's a debit 800,000. So I will write 800,000 on the debit side. So what is on its credit? It's capital. So I will write capital with it. So my second transaction is also posted. You see how to post the transaction. If it's debit bank, I will create an account of bank. It's debit 500,000. I will record 500,000 on the debit side, and its credit is capital. I will write capital on that figure. Then it's debit building. I will create an account. I will open an account of building. I will write 800,000 on the debit side because it's a debit building 800,000, and I will write capital with it because the credit entry of this transaction is capital. So the third is debit machinery 300,000. So what I will do, I will create machinery account. I will open a machinery account. So machinery T account. So you see what is on the machinery, it's debit machinery 300,000. So I will write 300,000 on debit side, and what is on the credit? It's capital. So I will write capital with it. So the same transaction which I recorded earlier, because all the three transactions have have capital on their credit side. So we have written capital with each transaction as a reference. So next is credit capital. We have posted all three debits. Now we will post the credit side. So credit is capital. We will create another account of capital. So we will open an account of capital. Capital is being credited with how much amount? It's credit capital 1600,000. So I will write 1600,000 with it on the credit side because it is being credited. So I will write 1600,000 on the credit side. So as a reference, I have to record the debit of this transaction. So what is on the debit side? On the debit side, it is bank, it is building, and it is machinery. So I will write all three things with this amount because capital is being credited with 1.6 million due to all these three transactions. We have posted this first transaction into relevant accounts. First, it was debit bank 500,000. I opened the account of bank. I debited it 500,000. I written capital with it because its corresponding credit was capital. Then is debit building 800,000. I opened the building account. I recorded it 800,000 on the debit side because it was debit building. So I recorded an amount on the debit side. Its corresponding credit was capital, so I written capital with it. My third entry was debit machinery 300,000. So I opened the account of machinery, written debit 300,000 on the debit side, and written capital with it because its corresponding credit entry was capital. These three debits are posted. Then I have to post this credit capital. I will open an account of capital and I will record 1600,000 on credit side because capital is credit with 1600,000. So I will record 1600,000 on the credit and I will write all the debits with it. So 1600,000 is capital in the form of bank, in the form of building, and in the form of machinery. So these are the three things which are invested into business. And this was the first transaction which we posted successfully. Okay, the next transaction is just hold on. Let me share you the screen for the next transaction. Hold on for a moment, guys. Yeah, I have that in front of me. So next transaction is he made purchases. Let me share the screen for you once again. Let's open another page. He made the transaction is he made purchases for 170,000 from J Brown. Let's say if it is the transaction made purchases for 170,000. So what is the debit credit of this transaction? We will write debit purchases because purchases always a debit entry. Purchases are always a debit entry. Debit purchases, the amount is 170,000. Why were debited it? Because it is an increase in expense. So you can write the reason in front of that. You must write it. I'm not writing just because of lack of the space, but you should write the reason. The reason of this debit is increase in expense, and the credit is J Brown. JB, I will write only JB, and why it is credited, because it's a payable. Payable is a liability, and whenever liability is increased, it is a credit entry. So this is the second transaction. This is transaction number 2. What is transaction number 2? It's debit purchases 170,000 and credit JB or J Brown payable 170,000. So you guys must be able to record the transaction first. Once you are able to record the transaction, then it's very easy for you guys to post this transaction into account. Now I will post this transaction into accounts. Let's create another page. So the transaction is debit purchases. The transaction is debit purchases 1,70,000 and credit JB payable 1,70,000. So first I will create an account for purchases. So let's create an account for purchases. So I have opened the purchases account. Debit purchases 170. So it's debit 170. I will write 170,000 on debit side. So what is its credit entry? Its credit entry is JB payable. So I will write the name with this, it's JB payable. So you got it? I have recorded 170,000 on the debit side because in my transaction purchases was debited with 170,000. So I opened the purchases account. I written 170,000 on the debit side and its credit is JB payable. Now next is credit JB payable 170,000. So what I will do, I will open an account of JB payable and record 170,000 on the credit side. So let's open an account of JB payable. So this is JB. He is our payable. Payable is a person to whom business is liable to pay. It's liability of the business. It is being credited. You see, the transaction is credit JB payable. So it is being credited with 170,000. So what I will do, I will record 170,000 on the credit side. So I will record 170,000 on the credit side and its corresponding debit is purchases. So I will write purchases with it. You see, credit JB payable 170,000. So I will open the account of JB payable and I will write JB payable. I will write 170,000 on the credit side of JB payable and the corresponding debit entry is purchases. So I will write the name purchases with it. So you see here it is the first we have opened the account of JB payable. It's a credit entry and then debit entry is posted into its purchase account because purchase was debited. So debit purchase, I opened the account of purchase, written 170 on the debit side as its credit was JB payable. So I recorded as JB payable with as the reference. So next transaction is he paid, received utility bill of 5,000. Yeah, he received utility bill of 5,000. So what is the debit credit transaction? Debit utility bill 5,000. I have debited it because this is increase in expense. Upper arrow shows an increase and this is an expense. So I have debited utility bill 5,000 because I have received a bill and haven't paid it yet. So my corresponding credit entry is bill payable. As it is my payable, it's my liability. The name of this payable is bill payable. Whenever a liability is increased, it is a credit entry. So I will record increase in liability with it. Yeah, this is the transaction I have recorded. Now I will post it. How I will post? I will, yeah, please, someone has question? Okay. Uh, I will open, first of all, it's debit utility bill. I will open an account of utility bill. So let's add another page and open an account of utility bill. Yeah, it's an expense account. I will open this account and the transaction is debit utility bill 5,000. So what I will do, I will record 5,000 on the debit side, and what is on the credit side? It's bill payable. So I will write bill payable with it. And then the next transaction, next corresponding credit entry is credit bill payable 5,000. So I will open an account of bill payable. So let's open an account of bill payable. It's a liability account. As it's being credited with 5,000, I will record 5,000 on the credit, and its debit is utility bill. So I will write utility bill with it, showing that it is my liability account of 5,000 is my liability, and the reason for this liability is an expense named utility bill. So my this transaction, debit bill 5,000, credit bill payable 5,000, is posted like as I opened the account of utility bill, as it was a debit entry. So I recorded 5,000 on the debit side. Its corresponding credit is bill payable, which I written with that. Then I opened the account of bill payable. The credit entry for this transaction was credit bill payable 5,000. So I open an account of bill payable. I recorded 5,000 on the credit side, and its debit entry was utility bill. So this transaction is also posted. Next transaction is, these are the 5 transactions. Okay, let's have another transaction. Let's add another transaction. And the next transaction, I should say, that is, he paid the utility bill from bank. He paid the utility bill through check. By check, it means he paid it from the bank. So what is the debit credit entry? Debit. Yeah, it's a debit credit entry. Please, someone wants to say something? Yeah.
Sir, please let Joseph to join the class. He's touching chat with me. Sir, let me as.
Okay, wait. Who want to join the class?
Joseph. It means Joseph.
Yeah, I know that. Okay, sorry, as I was sharing the screen, I couldn't see him. So thank you very much, Naib, for letting me know.
No problem. You're welcome.
Yeah, the transaction is that he paid the utility bill. It means the bill payable liability is no more. So I will debit bill payable because my liability has been decreased. Amount was 5,000, and credit is bank because I have paid it from the bank. My asset, bank name asset, has been decreased. So decrease in asset is a credit entry, and increase in asset is a debit entry. So as in this transaction, asset is decrease. The name of asset is bank. So I will record bank credit because it is an asset which is decrease. I will record credit bank 5,000, and my liability is also decreased because I have paid the bill of 5,000. So let's post this transaction. First of all, I will open the bill payable account. I don't need to open another bill payable account. You see, I have already opened the bill payable account, which is this. But in this transaction, bill payable is being debited with 5,000. So what I will do, I will simply write 5,000 on the debit side of bill payable. And what is on the credit side? It's bank. And I will write bank with it. So you see, my bill payable account is balanced. Initially, when I created my liability, I credited it. And when I discharged my liability, when I paid it, I debited it. So it's the account is balanced, and there is no balance which will be carried forward for this account. So next, it is the bill payable which I just posted. The second portion of this transaction is credit bank 5,000. So I will record this 5,000 on the credit side of bank. So let's see where the bank account is. We had created a bank account initially. Yeah, it is the bank account. I will record 5,000 on the credit side of the bank, and I will write bill payable with it because bank is credit and its corresponding debit entry was bill payable. You see, this was the transaction in which bank is credit with 5,000 and its reference is bill payable. Remember, every debit entry is the reference of its credit entry, and every credit entry is a reference of its debit entry. To post the transactions into accounts, all you have to do is to open the account with the name of account is bill payable, and then write an amount on the debit or credit side. So if it is debit, write the amount on the debit side. If it is credit, write the amount on the credit side, and then write the name of the corresponding debit as a reference. So if I am recording this transaction, I will open an account of bill payable. I will record 5,000 on the debit side, and I will write bank as a reference. And then I will open an account of bank. I will record 5,000 on the credit side because it is being credited, and bill payable would be written as a reference with that 5,000. So this is the way you have to do the transaction to post them. So remember, we will continue to practice this posting until we don't understand that how to record the transaction and how to post the transaction. Okay, moving on to next transaction. Let's go to another transaction. If please, you can contact me through WhatsApp. You can ask me for the practice material of these transactions. I will send you some transaction through WhatsApp. If you are unable to access that Google Classroom, please do let me know. I will send you transactions through the WhatsApp. Okay, let's move to the next transaction. Next transaction is he made sales to Mr. Ali for 150,000 on cash. So it's a cash sale. So business received cash. Cash is an asset of the business. So what I will do, I will debit cash 150,000 because this is increase in asset, and whenever asset is increased, it's a debit entry. And sale is always credit because sale is income. Remember, whenever you find a word of sale, sale is increase, it's a credit entry because it is an income. And whenever income is increased, it's a credit entry. So we recorded this transaction. It's a cash sale of 150,000, means the cash name asset is increased with the business and there is also increase in income. So whenever income is increased, it's a credit entry. Whenever asset is increased, it's a debit entry. So let's post this transaction. We have to open an account of cash and we have to open an account of sale. So let's first open an account of cash. So I opened cash account. It's being debited with 150,000. You see the transaction, debit cash 150,000. So I will write 150,000 on the debit side. And what is on its credit? It's sale. So I will write sale as reference with this amount. Yeah. So I have posted this debit side of the transaction, debit cash 150. Now I have to post sale as a credit entry. So what I will do, I will open an account of sale. As it is being credited, I will record 150,000 on the credit side and its corresponding debit is cash. And I should write the cash as reference. So transaction by transaction, your understanding will increase. Initially, you might feel some confusion, but as you continue to go with the transaction, as you continue your practice more and more, you will get more understanding that how to record the transaction and then how to post the transaction. So recording is the key. Recording is the first stage. Once you are able to record the transaction in debit and credit format, remember to keep that table in front of you in which I told you that whenever capital is increased, it's a credit entry, and whenever capital decreases, it's a debit entry. Secondly, whenever liability increase, it's a credit entry. Whenever liability decrease, it's a debit entry. And asset and expense have the same characteristics. Whenever asset and expense increases, it's a debit entry, and whenever they decreases, it's a credit entry. So you have to identify in every transaction that which two effects are being done. Okay, moving to next transaction, let's go for another transaction. Next transaction is he uh, he made sales to David for 100,000 on credit. Please mute your mic, guys. Please mute your mic. Sonia, want to say something, beta?
No, sir, I don't say anything.
Okay, then please mute your mic because I'm hearing some noise from Joseph as well. Okay, Joseph, I have muted you, and thank you very much, Sonia. You muted yourself. Okay. The transaction is he made sales to David for 100,000 on credit. Yeah, 100,000 sale on credit. It means sale is an income. So it's a credit entry. Sale is always an income. Amount is 100,000. This is increase in income. And the debit entry is debit. Well, who is debit? Debit is receivable. It is opposite of payable. So debit, receivable. Payable is a liability. Remember, receivable is asset. So I will record debit David, debit David. He is receivable with 100,000 because he is he is our asset and our asset has been increased. So increase in asset is a debit entry. So now I will post this transaction. I will open an account of David and write 100,000 on debit side. So I am opening an account of David. David in bracket, it's receivable. Open the account. It's being debited. I will record 100,000 on the debit side and its corresponding credit is sale. So you see on the credit side, it's sale. Then I will open an account of sale. It is already open and I will record 100,000 on the sale account. So this is the sale account. I will write 100,000 on the credit side. And this time its debit entry is David. REC stands for receivable. So it's debit receivable. So you see, if I see from here only from the sale account, I can see that 150,000 sale is on cash and 100,000 sale is on credit. Means 150,000 when I made sale of 150,000, I received cash of 150,000. When I made the second sale, I sold the goods, but I did not receive anything because it was a credit sale and David will pay this amount later. So this was the transaction and we recorded and posting. Next transaction is he got 200,000 loan from bank. He got 200,000 loan from bank. Okay, there is an increase in asset named cash. The cash is received from the bank. It is increase in assets, so it's a debit entry. But credit is bank loan. Bank loan is a liability. So I will record bank loan credit 200,000. Why I credited it? It's an increase in liability. So whenever you receive a loan from the bank, the corresponding two effects are that there is an increase in asset. The name of asset is cash. I will record the cash as a debit entry because whenever asset is increased, it's a debit entry. And the corresponding credit entry is a bank loan. Bank loan is a liability, and whenever the liability is increased, it's a credit entry. Okay. Now we shall post this transaction. To post the transaction, it's the same process. We will open cash account. It is already opened. I will record 200,000 on the credit side of cash. Okay, let's go to the cash account. Here is the cash account. I will record 200,000 on the right side, means credit side, and its debit side is bank loan. So I will write bank loan with it. I think I have done it wrong and you guys didn't recognize it. You see the transaction. Cash is debited. So I have to write 200,000 on the debit side, not on the credit side. I have written on the credit side, which is wrong. So you see, if it is debited, it has to be written on the debit side. So I will write 200,000 on the debit side. You guys should have pointed it out. I think you all are in a very deep sleep. So be attentive. It's a debit 200,000, debit cash 200,000. I will open the account of cash and it's already open. I don't need to open it again. It's a debit 200,000 and the corresponding credit is bank loan. So I will write bank loan with it. And then the next credit entry is credit bank loan 200,000. I will pair open an account of bank loan and I will write 200,000 on the credit side because it's credit bank loan 200,000 and the corresponding debit entry is cash. So this transaction is also posted. Debit cash 200,000. I recorded 200,000 on the debit side of cash and written the reference as bank loan. Then I opened the bank loan account and I recorded 200,000 on the credit side of the bank loan, and then credit side 200,000 on the credit side of bank loan, and cash is written as reference. So guys, please tell me if you have any query, any problem until now. If you do not understand anything, please ask me again. If you have some queries, issues, please do ask me. I am just doing the same procedure again and again, just to make you guys understand that how to post the transaction. Let's go for another transaction. He paid 2,000 interest on loan to bank. Interest is an expense. Remember, interest is an expense. So that entry is debit interest 2,000. Why I debited this? It's increase in expense. And as it is paid from the cash, I will record credit cash 2,000. Cash is an asset and asset is decreased, so it's a credit entry. So I will open an account of interest and I will write debit 2,000 on the debit side. So I will open an account of interest and write 2,000 on the debit side, and its corresponding credit is cash. Then I will post cash on the credit side of the cash account 2,000. So here is the cash account. Yeah, I will write 2,000 on the credit side of the cash account, and the reason is interest. Yeah, reason is interest. So you see, initially we must know how to record the transactions in debit and credit format. Once you are able to record the transaction, then it's a very easy process. It's a straightforward process in which you have to open an account of every debit and every credit. What is debit, record on the debit side of that account, and what is credit, record on the credit side of that account. And with the amount, you have to return the reference. For every credit, its debit is reference. For every debit, its credit is the reference. So guys, if you have any query, any question, please ask me so that we can decide what to do next. Yeah, any question, guys? Joseph, is that clear? Naeeb, can you hear me?
Sir,
I
can
think
you send
Sonia
this
is
video?
saying something, but I am unable to hear her.
Sir, can you send this video recording in WhatsApp?
Please, Sonia, just hold on a moment. Let me do something with my speaker. Just please hold on for a moment. Yeah, now sir, please, what you were saying.
Sir, can you send this video, this recording video in WhatsApp?
Yeah, I will not only send you this recording, but I do have another recording that is prepared in the PowerPoint format to make you understand for this posting. I will definitely share that video and this video as well. I will share both videos with you guys. You guys should see these videos again and again. But the important thing is that you should continue with the debit and credit practice. So please access the assignment in Google Classroom. If you are unable to access that assignment, please do let me know so that I can send you guys that assignment through WhatsApp or through some other means, but you have to practice that assignment. We will not
Yes,
go
sir,
for the
send the
next.
assignment.
Yeah, I will send you guys the assignment through WhatsApp, and I will send you guys the video through WhatsApp. But you guys do, we cannot move to the next topic until we don't practice the recording of transaction and posting of the transaction. Because if you are unable to record the transaction, or if you have recorded the transaction and you are unable to post that transaction, you cannot move forward. You cannot close the account. You cannot bring the balance out from that account. You cannot prepare a trial balance. It means you are halted. You cannot move further if you don't practice this stuff. So let's spend some time on practicing this. No problem if it's a week, or even if it takes 2 weeks, doesn't matter. But the issue is you should be doing the practice. We should not be we should not be sitting like this even after week and another week. Previously we studied this recording stuff a week before, but really I'm very sad to see that no one practiced it. Oh, I can understand you might have issues to access that from the Google Classroom, but you must have asked me that, sir, we were unable to access that assignment, so please provide us. I should have provided you. I will send you guys that assignment in the WhatsApp today, and you have to record that assignment, and you have to you have to post the transaction as well. You have not only to record those transactions into debit and credit format, but you also have to open the accounts and then post those transactions into those accounts. So if you have any queries, any questions, then please ask me now, or you can ask these questions tomorrow as well.